What's going on YouTube? It's your boy COD here today, and today we're going to have a serious commentary. We're going to talk about a couple things, but before we start talking about a bunch of shit, the gameplay you're checking out is actually from a GB match. We played against these kids. I don't fucking know what happened. I don't even remember the round count, but we pretty much shitted on them. Even though this went to a round 11, I'm going to split for you guys. I went 15 and like 6, 5, 6. I think it was 6. Yeah, 15 and 6. So I pretty much dominated these kids. I pretty much pulled down my pants, just logged a turd across these kids' chests, and just went with it. And I know I'm being a little comical and satirical in my pretty much my intro to this video, my segue. We're going to talk about a couple things here today. A, we're going to talk about how pretty much competitive Call of Duty has revitalized me, if not saved my life in an entirety. 2, why I have the greatest teammates in the fucking world, minus Mike. Fuck you. Actually, no, Mike, you're still cool in my book. I love you. Just kidding. And 3, why my mother is probably the greatest inspiration in my life, and why people should take notes from your parents, even though you think they're fucking nuts now. And I thought my mom was fucking nuts 3-4 years ago prior to this. So, okay, we're going to time walk this bitch all the way the fuck back. So we're going back to about, I want to say, end of Black Ops 1. I want to say midsummer. And that was pretty much when I was like going around traveling a lot. I was coming back from Gen Con, and it was a good weekend. It was a good 4 days, 5 days out there. And I was pretty much moving out of my parents' house at the time. I wasn't on good terms with my parents either, by no means whatsoever. I think my mom and dad pretty much sketched to go to the new house. My mom barely talked to me. I never talked to my stepdad ever. Well, because even to this day, I'm not entirely accepting of him. Even though I'm more accepting of him now than I did, I want to say 3-4 years ago. And I kind of, it's one of those things that take time. I don't think I'm at that point still, even though he's been my stepdad since I was like, 11, 12 years old. I'm still not at that point. I'm not mentally ready for that yet. Even though now it's kind of way better than than it's ever had before. But anyways, guys, I was moving out, and this was pretty much going into MW3, and I was pretty much living with my boy Mark, and things were kind of I mean, there was a bunch of miscommunication, but we kind of put that in the past, and everything's resolved. But fuck that. We're not going to talk about that. That's not any relevant to this. This is pretty much where I ended up. But I was living there. I was working at a local grocery store across the street. I was working like 40 hours a week. It wasn't a big deal. I would just literally walk across the street, walk back home across the street, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I would literally wake up, play MW3, get a Moab, get dressed, go to work, come home, feed the dog, walk the dog, play some more MW3, take a shower, go to sleep, rinse, wash, and repeat. So I had a pretty sick life for a while. I was pretty happy. Everything was picking up. Everything was getting back where it needed to be until Christmas. I went home for Christmas. I was living in Jersey at the time, and my mom, I live in Philly now. My whole family lives in PA. I go home for Christmas, and I come back. I want to say the 27th, right? I spent Christmas Eve day and day after spend time. Well, the day after Christmas, I came home to relax so I can go to work the next day. I come back the 27th, and I found out I don't have a job anymore. And why is because I got in an argument with another employee, and they took her side, and get fucked. Right, Carnage, right? Yeah, get fucked. Anyways, moving forward, I had money. I had money to survive another couple months, and then unemployment cut me off. That fucked me pretty bad, and I ran out of money by, I want to say, February, mid-February, and that's when really shit started to hit the fan. I wasn't eating. I would eat like one meal a day, and it would be like $1 sausage biscuit from 7-Eleven. I was literally eating like $1 a day, drinking tap water, smoking cigarette butts. It sucked. It really did suck. It was and it took a toll on me mentally. And I tried to get a job. I went job hunting. I went around. I talked to managers. They said they weren't hiring, and it sucked. It was post-holiday, and no one was hiring. And then it came to a point where I was eating every other day, and I was getting depressed. I was getting frustrated. I was getting angry. I almost had a job at was at Sears, making $8 an hour plus commission, pretty good commission too. And they said pretty much they ragged on me because of an incident that happened to me when I was 17. I got caught shoplifting in a fucking Walmart when I was 17. So, anyways, moving on. I pretty much was at my I was literally out of money, out of cigarettes, out of everything. I was done. And I copped out, called my mom, told me I needed to come back to Philly. I couldn't do it. I felt like a failure. And that pretty much burned and seared in my brain. And you guys could be, and it's absolutely right. I fucking failed. I felt like trash. And you guys have to realize I graduated school with a degree in design and advertising and doing social media and shit like that and editing. This is what I walked away with, and this is where I ended up at. And you have to realize that, like, I went to school in hopes of being something better, and I ended up back in the same place. And it's partially my fault, and we're going to continue on with that. Anyways, guys, moving on. I'm back in Philly. I get my old job back as a cook. I fucking hate it. I made some new friends. It was cool. It was fine. It wasn't anything better. I couldn't complain because I needed money. I needed food. I needed to survive. Couple months in, I buy a capture card and I start recording. You guys can go back, and I started this whole thing, dropping Moabs, good MW3 gameplay, stuff like that, and going into Black Ops 2. I was expecting the same. And then Black Ops 2 came out, and then I started working at GameStop as long as my cook job, and I was seeing a girl, and and you're gonna see how bad it gets. My first job starts shitting on me. Demanding more of me, blah blah blah. So I had to cut hours from GameStop. Then GameStop wanted to keep me initially, and then they cut me loose. So I made so many sacrifices for GameStop and for my other job, in hopes that I would be able to leave my other job to go to GameStop. And that pretty much soul crushed me again. I felt stuck. I felt like I was in a corner again. I just wanted to just lock the door to my room and just not come out ever again. And then after that, the girl I was dating at the same time pretty much just shitted on my feelings after I spent over $1,000 this year across the country a couple times and all that other stuff. So I felt like I was like drowning. I literally felt like I was drowning. So we're gonna lead up. And you guys heard the whole thing with all the team changes we went through. We went through like 5/4. We lost Scover and we picked up Jared. People came and go, and it was taxing. It was one thing after another. One thing bugged me, one thing bothered me, another thing, like things that would keep me up all night, and things that I would worry about, things that I would sit there and drink and smoke all night until I could figure it out. And it built up to a point, and I want to say this, like, this happened about a month ago, and I realized that things weren't as bad. It came to the point where we realized that Mike was going to leave. Joey was not happy. I was on vacation. I had time to think about things, and think about what happened over the last 3 years, and what I went through, and what my journey went through. And then I read this article about the 20 signs of success, and I started reading it, and there was a lot of interesting things about it, and that were said in it. And I started thinking about everything that me and Joey has been through, and the whole thing of competitive COD, even though we have yet to see a single cent. I haven't gotten a sponsorship, the subs are not up, blah 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 blah, and those are all things that are my fault. I've come to realize that I cannot complain about every single fucking thing anymore. I realize that for me to be me, and for me to be happy, and for me to be able to move on in life, is that I need to cut the bullshit, cut the ties to everything, and move on forward. And Call of Duty has done that for me. Call of Duty has pretty much, everything I've done with Call of Duty has pretty much rebuilt my idea of self-worth, if that's any valid reason to do it. I was always a competitive gamer in one way or another, and Call of Duty pretty much validated for me. I'm not awful, but I can hang. I can hang with these top players. I have the mental capacity and all that, and the content quality, I can do that. I can make content, I can edit, I can video edit, I can do all that shit. The next step is just to go into live streaming, and that takes time too. And with that said, and even now, like with my job, I'm generally just unhappy about it. And it's came to me a few days ago, was that I was at a point that I was gonna off myself. I really was gonna. There was days that would just sit on my roof and smoke cigarettes, and think about just jumping, just head first into the freaking sidewalk. And I started just realizing things, and I realized that Call of Duty even being out, and it gave me a mix of everything I ever wanted. One, the competitive aspect. I always liked the idea of just shitting on another person in any friendly competition. I was never like good at sports. I was okay, and then all my personal injuries pretty much made me incapable to play sports. I've always been a competitive person since I want to say like I was like 12 or 13 years old. And all that, my stepdad always told me that I was never going to be competitive at all in life, and look what the fuck happens. The second thing was that it gave me an outlet. It literally gave me an outlet outside of social media. It literally gave me an outlet to be me and express who I am and what's on my mind, and my personality. I think I'm kind of funny. I think I'm kind of serious. I think I'm good at articulating how I feel in my use of words, even though they're all over the fucking place sometimes. I make points. I try to make valid points with you guys, and and people don't realize that editing is a bit of an artistry, and as it comes a lot of the times. Editing comes from the heart, whether it be a funny video, it shows your personality, or if it's a serious video, it's straight from the heart, and the artistry and the production value is part of your skill set, your presentation of yourself. And that's what it allowed me to do, to be able to present myself to the world again the way I want to, like I used to. I used to be a fine artist in high school, and that used to balance me out. Like I used on the weekends I'd play Yu-Gi-Oh. On the weekdays I would draw, I would paint, I would draw, I would do all these things, and it would collide into one thing. And it made me even. It made me whole. And teaming with Jared and Joey, we had our ups and downs, by far. And the things we worked on and things we did to fix it, it helped me fix my relationship with my mother. Ultimately, we really just sat there and really worked it out and really just figured things out. And here's the last part, my job situation. And I pretty much am going to tell you guys this right now. You guys are going to be the first to hear it. I've talked about this, I want to say 6 or 7 times in the last week. And in order for me to really start doing the YouTube grind, being on Reddit, being on social media, getting myself out there, live streaming, working with other people that are established. And I'm looking at you, Bus Fair. Looking at you, motherfucker. We're going to talk later, at some point in the next week. In order for me to do this and to dedicate myself to YouTube, to the grind, and doing other things, and Twitch, I have to cut my work completely. They've pretty much said they're not working with me anymore, with my schedule. They said they're not going to do anything for me after I spent hours and hours and days and committing myself to that place, and they don't do anything for me. They pretty much have abused me to the point where I just don't care anymore. And I seen this happen with me when I used to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh anymore. When something becomes a chore, when something becomes retentive and you don't enjoy it anymore and your passion's gone, you fucking stop. And that's where I'm at with my job. So I'm announcing that I will be quitting my job at the end of the month. It will be completely gone. I do not want anything to do with it. But yeah, in a nutshell, guys, even though you walked through this whole commentary for a long time, I ended up teaming up with probably the best group of people I can probably have. Joey, even though he's headstrong, Jared, even though he's kind of pussy, the contrasts balance each other out, and it makes me realize my faults. And they help me get through my faults and get through life and stuff like that. My mom, I'm really happy that I fixed everything. And Call of Duty has really been that cohesive thing that kept my life together for a very long time, especially with YouTube and everything else. But anyways, guys, I'm just gonna wrap this up. I don't think there's any much else I can say about this, but I'm happy for each and every one of you. You guys are, 200 or some of you guys are a blessing to me, and I'm not gonna ask you guys to comment, rate, subscribe. I just hope you guys enjoy the video. Like always, guys, I'm out. I'm gonna go to sleep. You guys have a good evening or day. So I'm out. Later.